What is validation? Are you validating what you already know, or are you validating what you don't know? If you are validating what you know, then you'll be convinced very quickly. I got it. Yeah, 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 that's right. What you're trying to validate is what you don't know.
Welcome to the Next Gen Scale podcast. I'm your host, Elena, AI consultant and architect of change. In every episode, I sit down with the founders, innovators, and leaders who are building the future, the ones who are solving the hardest problems and turning disruption into opportunity. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, this podcast is for you. Let's get into it. My guest today is a Silicon Valley tech veteran with over 40 years in the industry, from leadership roles at famous companies and being a venture capitalist to founding his own AI company, Wunagen. He's also a published author of 4 books, a startup mentor, and a speaker at the Business Show US 2025. Prem Talreja is here today to share what he has learned about AI entrepreneurship and building businesses. Hello, Prem. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Elena. It's a pleasure.
I will start with a question a lot of startup founders are probably asking right now. Why do most AI startups fail and what can they do instead?
Well, that's a question historically for all startups, okay? Starting a company is not easy. And we all know that statistically, a lot of startups fail even after raising money. But in the age of AI, it's even more worse. But part of it is that startups fail because they are very anxious to get a product developed and brought to the market. And this is, in the software world, it's very convenient, if you will, to say, oh, I can do this code myself. I'll do it. I'll build the product. But the fact is that you rush into a decision to build the product. You get caught up in the execution of the product, engineering work, all that. You even spend some money. So now you have sunk costs. So you have some ego and your financial stake in it. But what you have not done is done a thorough job of investigating whether that software should even exist. Let's put it that way. Because later on you find that nobody wants to buy it. But there are many other reasons. There's execution, there is team, there's funding, there is a feature creep. All of these things come into why products miss the market.
Where do startups encounter more bottlenecks? Is it in building the product or in the go to market and sales from your experience?
Well, it could be in both, but it is really in go-to-market. And I'll tell you why. Because I think a lot of the founders of software companies, including myself, were very strong technically. And in technology, almost every problem can be solved. Okay. Sometimes it takes longer or less, but you have to make a decision to solve the problem or how to solve the problem. So I don't think it's ever in execution. I mean, the only problem in execution can be if some core person in your team is not competent enough or somebody is lacking, and that issue can surface very quickly in the team building. Of course, money is an issue, but I think at the end, if you go through the process of developing the product, even if it's a minimum viable product, just enough to show the product to the people, the go to market issue comes up, and that is that it's hard to find buyers. It's hard to find people who will try the product. You can even say, oh, I'll give it to you for free, but uh, and which is okay, to build your base, but people don't have time, so they fail in go to market, and there are reasons why they fail there.
So it's a lot about connecting the product with the current challenges and pain points of the market.
Absolutely. So either you do the research in advance and know that what you're building is what they want. So that's the investigation, the process of decision making that I help companies with. And there's no right answer, but there is, at least the work has to be done, that what we are building is got a reasonable acceptance by a large number of people that you talk to, who you are not even bothering to sell. You are just asking for their opinion, which is an easy way to get opinion without pushing them to buying. But they also become your pipeline for the future. Now, the problem you run into in the connecting the product to the customer eventually is in the go-to market is a notion that, is this product a would be nice to have or a must have? Okay. So often, you convince yourself as an entrepreneur that this would be very useful. I can see this need. And so you say, I can build it. But you haven't validated, is this a must have? And then in this day and time, when people are so much bombarded with products and solutions, there's always the issue of, okay, I can do this later. I don't need it now. Why do I need it? So you have to create a burning desire that this must be a must have. And that means you have to find the people that must have it. And that's the go to market challenge. So yeah, it's combination of things.
Can startups also be successful with a nice to have product, or the goal should always be a must have?
Well, it's a fair question. I think a nice to have product would be, I would not go there with nice to have product. Only if you have enough deep pockets that you could, uh, sufficient money that you could say, okay, if we build this as a POC, proof of concept, then maybe we can get some viral effect or some interest in this product. But you will not be able to go to bank on a nice to have, and you will have a hard time raising significant seed capital or venture capital,
Uh,
because even the VCs are basically looking for. I mean, VCs are very smart people; they have a lot of money, but they are also looking for. They have 10 options to invest, so they're also looking for, where is the money? Where should they put the money in? And they're looking for that signal, that is it a must have, and then they will question it themselves. But that's really important.
Yeah, this leads me to my next question. You pivoted from engineering to decision to execution validation services.
Yeah.
What is that you wish to achieve with this shift?
Well, yeah, we started, we're a young company, and so we had flexibility to change, if you will. And we have not completely pivoted, but the point is that last year in 2025, we did 3 projects for engineering development of AI products for 3 different customers. Uh, and then we were finding that we were very horizontally saying we can build AI solutions. But then I started to think about even the 3 products that I had built for my customers. uh, I realized that they were having some challenges in succeeding. And if they don't succeed, okay, our job is done, but we lose a long-term customer. So I began to think about that, and I reflected on my years of experience to realize that actually what even those 3 companies did, at least 2 out of those 3, did not do well, because they came to us with a product requirements document. So we executed. We gave them a proposal, they accepted. We anxiously started developing. But they had not done sufficient due diligence of their idea. And these are startups, entrepreneurs. So I felt bad for them that they had gone down a path of spending a lot of money with us. And yet there were some concerns whether this product was right for the market. And we were constantly changing the features as that was coming up. But I realized that maybe I should spend more time in this age of AI to help the type of entrepreneurs that come to us in validating the idea, and in a sense therefore getting paid for that validation work. Okay, I can't do it for free. As I can do engineering, I get paid for it, but I would rather spend some time to validate and make that part of the project, that we will validate, take you to go, no go decision. And if it's a go decision, then we will implement for you. But we will not implement without validation. So this is not total pivot. It's like we have decided in ourselves as a team that we owe it to our customers and tell them that, look, let's take a month to validate. And there's a fee for it built into your project. And I think that's the pivot, if you want to call it that way. So it's a decision to go, no go, and then execution.
Would
Yeah.
you say that validation is one of the most important factors for a successful launch?
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, unless you're a serially entrepreneur with large amounts of money and you have such a forward-looking product, let's say in the AI world with open AI and all this, maybe they didn't need validation. They were developing products that were going to change the industry. So there is some aspect of that. But usually, as you're building applications on other existing platforms, then validation does become important. Now, how much validation and what is validation? Is also very important. Is validation that you found a customer who's willing to pay for it and pay for the development? You could call that validation. But can it scale? That would be the next thing. But validation before plunking down your money is different than I have money, I need to validate. So I think that if you have deep pockets and you want to go ahead and develop, then validation becomes build a proof of concept product and go show it around without charging for it and see if there is a valid market for it. You get feedback. People say, I like it. The feature is this or that. Oh, by the way, you forgot to do this. Those are good validations. That's feedback process into your engineering product development. The other kind of validation comes from the fact that this I learned over a period of time. That is that even without the pressure of selling or the other side and the pressure of buying, you find the ideal client, target client, and you talk to them for 10, 15 minutes and even not pitch the product exactly like you have in mind, but ask around the issue and the problem. That do you have this problem? How do you solve it today? If there was a product, would that interest you? If so, what are the key pain points? These are 10, 15-minute conversations. They can always sometimes take an hour because you know some people. But if you do not 5 or 10 such validations, if you do 100 such validations, can you imagine how solid your understanding of the market will become? And so that is validation to de-risk your project before putting money down. That's the validation that you can use to go raise money. That is the kind of validation that will give you and your company and engineering a very solid sense of we know what we're trying to build and we should build it. And furthermore, the validation has to do with timing. In this age, things are changing so rapidly that you need to validate before you see what's going to happen 6 months from then or now when your product comes out. So there's many reasons to validate, but yes, venture capitalists do that at validation stage. They will put a little bit of money on the entrepreneur and say, okay, let's go validate. Some will not put money in, but they'll say we need to validate. When I was in the VC firm, we used to give the entrepreneur a small amount of money, but we would say then that in our company, Prem will work with you to validate the idea. And there were times when we validated that it's not worth putting more money. That was okay. Or we validated and we put more money. So we were not afraid to lose some money, but we were not asking the founder or the entrepreneur to quit their jobs or start developing because it was still a validation phase. So we were willing to bootstrap them or help them. Obviously, even to get through that stage, we had to have some key conviction that this is a good problem. So yeah, but validation, in my opinion, and now books are being written on validation, and it is very important. The art of innovation pretty much talks about validation.
Especially now in the times of AI, industries are changing so fast. And This leads me to my next question. How are you using AI in your work, and where does human judgment still have to take over?
Very good question. So, in my present work, when it comes to this decision to execution modeling, I use AI very extensively. If you are my entrepreneur, let's say I'm talking to you, and I could say, Elena, why don't you describe to me in the first 1 hour meeting, in your own words, what is it that you found as a problem? What are you trying to build? Who have you seen as your competitor? Why have you talked to anybody? All of those 1 hour, 10 questions, I will do for validation of my own process. Okay. As soon as I have that input from you, Elena, in front of you or behind your back, which is that I may spend almost 10 hours for every 1 hour meeting I have with you, because I don't know everything from the day I heard your idea. So I will use AI to research that, size the market, research the competitors, research the pain points are real or not real, and all that. So I will do my prompt engineering, prompt development to ask those questions. Now, what happens is AI is forced to give you an answer. AI will give you an answer no matter what. The challenge is the wisdom that I have or the experience I have to take what I got back as a response and eliminate what is not valuable information. Again, it's not perfect science, but I can prompt in such a way that I can get sufficiently good answer, and then I can eliminate what I don't need, and then I can do further research. And then finally, I apply my own skills. But I use AI a lot. And sometimes I show it to my customer, prospective customer, and I say, they go, wow, I could do this myself. I go, yeah, why don't you? You should do it. Okay. But you need to talk to people also. So then I give them a list of 10 questions on what they should talk to people about, how to set up the meetings. I'm not going to set up the meetings for them, but who is the ideal customer, and then how to set up the meetings and do the research. And if they want my help, 1 or 2 meetings, I'll sit with them just to coach them, do dry runs. But yeah, AI plays a very significant role even in accelerating my work, because let's face it, what I can do in 5 hours with AI would take me 25 hours if I did not have AI. And I have to charge them a lot for that. But now I'm able to charge a reasonable fee, unlike large consulting houses who also use AI. But I can do that as a one-person show. Or I have a CTO with me who can use AI to figure out what are the technological things we can do with AI for this product that this person wants to develop. So all these things become very AI research oriented.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The output depends on the input.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
From your experience, what are the key signs that a startup idea is worth pursuing?
Oh, number one is the team. Okay. And I don't mean team of 10 people, could be team of one or team of two. But the core is that let's say these two engineers who are willing to take this bold step have the expertise and the historic experience. So it's not like somebody is coming from one industry and going into a new industry. There is some continuity in their knowledge. Okay. They can go into new industries too, but there has to be continuity in the knowledge, you know. But so the team is very important in the beginning, which means that who is going to be the lead engineer and who is going to be the lead uh, CEO or the business development person. It's not about the titles, it is about the team. Obviously, it is a title to the extent that they are the founders. They will be the face of the company until such time that they can find a leader as a CEO, or they may want to be them. But team is important, and in that team also becomes the issue of how willing are they to listen to the market signals? How willing are they to adapt to feedback from me and from others? Sometimes they are very hardcore, determined. That's not a good sign. So that's what I mean by team. How solid they are in their understanding, how willing they are to be listen to the market and not be married to their product, but get married to the idea of success. Okay. And after that comes the second part about the team as well, which is, do they have the staying power? Because it can take 3 months, 6 months, 1 year worth of time and effort to raise money, to give them the ability to quit their jobs, be funded by the funds, raise money from friends and family. Are they willing to put their own money? You know, how much? So there again lies the personal journey of the entrepreneur, which is, will you panic in 3 months? Because then it's not worth my time if I'm involved in it after 3 months, or if I'm helping them raise money. I could be done with my job in 1 month, but will you panic? And if you're the type who's going to panic, and the panic is not just because there could be other things. They may have bills to pay. They may have kids in school. They may have college fees. They may have all these kind of things to worry about. Then it's premature for you to have quit a high paying job in a company to suddenly go become an entrepreneur, because just quitting and starting a company does not make you hmm, as entrepreneur. And there are other things that happen with that, is that if you quit your job, yes, you can go back, you can find other jobs, although it's getting harder these days, but you also disappoint yourself and you lose some confidence in yourself. And more important is, you lose your image in the industry, which is that, oh, so you started a company, but you weren't able to take it forward. That brands you as a failure. You don't want that. You want to succeed. You want to have staying power. That's most important. Idea, in the beginning will change 180 degrees for sure. Okay.
How founders can build that resilience to stay in the process when it gets hard?
Well, I don't have a good answer for it. There are times when I wanted to do something and I didn't, because I was caught up in my own financial decision making. But I would say that nowadays there are some very good incubators that can help you to decide and take you in. But I think the other is, talk to other founders or friends you have. I mean, I'm a good person that, with or without being paid, if you sit with me for an hour, arrange a call with me on my LinkedIn profile, I'll be happy to walk you through not your idea, but tell you what makes a good entrepreneur. Okay. What are the qualities of an entrepreneur that even investors look in? And also be brutally honest with the person I'm talking to and say, look, this is very serious work. And there could be many things. If you just got recently married, if you just bought a home, you lost a member in the family, this is not the time to do entrepreneurship, because it's a whole new marriage. Okay. And if you've got a lot of exciting things going on in your life, or not so exciting, you have to figure out that you're adding a layer on top of that. So these kind of discussions can be had. Entrepreneurship, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm not there to discourage anybody. Okay. I would encourage them. I would excite them. I would tell them that there is a key. And the other thing is, not be alone. Don't do this alone.
Yeah,
Do it with a partner.
many entrepreneurs say that actually being a founder is pretty lonely. Do you agree with that?
Yes, it can be very lonely, and it can be also, especially if you're alone, then you can get bottlenecked or go down a certain path, because that's all you're thinking and you have no time to get second opinion. So it is lonely. It is also lonely because you might have come out in a work environment where you were busy having coffee with friends or chit chatting or Slack conversations going on, but now you're lonely. and you sometimes feel the challenge. So it's good to have a colleague, good to take some downtime and meet at a coffee and talk it through. Good to have some people, could be your professors, could be your friends, could be people like me who could be code advisors. And there are, to be honest, if you seek out people, there are lots of people willing to help and give back to the industry that has done well for them. They may have a motivation in it, but they are willing to give you time. And so have a mentor, so to speak. Create that environment that I have a mentor, and you say, listen, Prem, I'd like you to be my mentor, and I'm going to ask you to give me 1 hour a month. But then don't do willy-dilly. My time is precious. My availability is also precious. So use me effectively. Okay. But that could be one other thing. And, again, as a potential investor down the road, I might lead you down a path interested in investing or finding co-investors. So everybody does things for a personal gain, but you also find people like me and others who are just absolutely willing to chat with you, because they think they've been through the journey and they can help entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think that getting feedback is crucial just because entrepreneurs sometimes they can become so focused on their thoughts and ideas that hearing another opinion
Yeah, but
can
I,
be
but I
really
would also,
helpful to focus again on
right,
the
right,
important.
Elena, and I would say one thing, that when we talk about validation, right, you're also validating, am I a good entrepreneur? Am I capable of running a company? Am I the type who can make decisions and take other people's opinion? This is validating yourself, right? Because if you're in a large company, some of that is already being done for you, because your team tells you what needs to be done, your boss tells you what to be done, you report to somebody and you present what you're going to do, and you get an approval and you do it. And funding is not an issue because you're still getting a paycheck. So that gets done in the enterprise environment. You come out of that, all the variables change a little bit more, but you're validating yourself, that am I made for this thing? I want to be a basketball player, but can I be a basketball player? That kind of thing. So you validate. Now, what is validation? Are you validating what you already know? Or are you validating what you don't know? If you are validating what you know, then you'll be convinced very quickly. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Okay, I got it. Yeah, that's right. What you're trying to validate is what you don't know. That means the person you're validating with has to be other than a very friendly person to you, who has to be brutally honest and be unbiased in validating and saying, look, this is what you're going to, again, it's constructive, not destructive, but it could say that, look, you have to be this type of person and personality in order to step out of your current comfortable job to do this. Okay. And these are the characteristics you need. And you can even say, I didn't do it because I myself don't have that characteristics, but I've seen others do it. I've read books. I've been a venture capitalist. So, that kind of thing I can say, but you don't validate what you know. You validate what you don't know. This is also true about the validation we talked earlier about the product, that you already know what you're trying to build. So if you go ask 10 people and they say, yes, 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 you can walk away saying, see, I told you I was right. I told you I was right. No, you want to find out what you are not aware of. There's a technique and method to asking that question. ChatGPT is a good way to even ask that question. Okay. But you have to ask it of people.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know.
Don't know. And that's the blind side. And that question will hit you when you're sitting in front of a customer eventually, or in front of an investor. And when that question comes, you'll be blindsided saying, whoa, I never thought about that. what you want to be able to say at that time is, I'm glad you asked this question. We thought about this. This is how we intend to address this issue, not now, later, or we pivoted to solving this problem. That makes a huge difference in the minds of the customer. Okay. With customer, it's a different thing, but with customer, you also end up saying that, okay, we thought about it, but we thought this was less important. But is this very important? And the customer says yes. Then you're almost leading the customer down the path of saying, okay, if we accelerate and add this feature now, will you buy it? No, no, I won't buy it. I'm just telling you. Or they say, absolutely, I will buy it. But you can get directed in making that product for that customer, but then you go and validate with 10, 15 other customers and say, okay, this we thought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was important, but seems like 4 is more important than 1. And in engineering, in the sprint methodology, you can change your approach to things uh, unless there's a technical barrier that 1 has to be done before 2 and 3, and then 4 will happen. But you can get the sense of what is necessary, right? So yeah, there's so many ways. There's no right answer, but I'm just sharing with you what I have come across in the time of my life. Yeah.
Where do you see the biggest untapped opportunity in the AI space right now?
Gosh, I mean, I was at right now. My mind is circling around. I was at a RSA, the security conference. I mean, the amount of work being done in the security space with AI or to prevent AI from getting into your system, there's an opportunity there. Because AI itself is now a wonderful tool and technology and opportunity and all of that, but it's also a new threat surface, right? So in security, there's a change. Previously there were 4 or 5 major security companies. I think in security, there's space. Obviously, there's a lot of AI need in the areas where there's a lot of inefficiency in the method of process. Uh, HR is an area. I mean, surprisingly, HR has a lot of manual work that can be automated, all directed towards making the employee happier, all made towards making the HR managers happier, because HR is a cost function and a lot of times people are very overworked. So HR. Recently, I've talked about in the legal world. Okay. In the legal world, there's so much document processing that can be done with AI. There is other areas in legal that you can do, office automation, all that stuff. I learned a few things about that. Medical. Okay. It's a bigger nut to crack because you're talking with the medical industry is very large and very controlled. I don't mean HIPAA and all that. Those are all compliance issues. You can address them. But I'm talking about cracking into the medical industry. But there is AI being used for diagnosis. There's AI being used for uh, engaging the patient, client or patient. There's AI being used on note taking when you have a conversation between a patient and a doctor. That's all being notes being recorded and notes being converted into what they call SOAP notes, SOAP. Uh, and those notes go into EMR. There is room for a lot of improvement in EMR. So HR, finance, yeah, a lot of things that are happening in finance. And mind you, Elena, this has changed in the last 2 years, if not in the last 1 year. Okay. What I've noticed in 2025, that the number of banking companies and large financial institutions moving towards AI, experimenting with AI, running large POCs, proof of concepts with AI, is a clear indicator that they are seeing the benefit or they are trying to figure out what they can do. So finance, manufacturing. I know very little about manufacturing, but supply chain, massive. So AI is it's like 30 years ago, when the website started to come out, somebody would ask me, Prem, do you think I should have a website? And I would say, of course you should, because if your neighbor has a website, you need a website. So it's the same thing that now it's AI, right? So of course you must. And it's going to be a whole plethora of applications that'll come, which is where somebody like me can even help people say, do it, don't do it. It's not big enough an issue. Do something else. So, yeah, I think there's a boom coming, if not already, of applications on AI. Commerce, e-commerce is moving towards AI, right? You can buy through AI, right? So imagine how revolutionary that is.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about construction?
Well,
This industry is pretty undigitalized. My background is in architecture. This is also a niche where on one side, adoption of AI and technology and new software at all, it's harder than in other industries. But still there is big potential for optimization because there are so many workflows that just slows the projects down.
yeah, without a doubt, and I know it's your area of expertise, but in my life, course of my life, of course, I've dealt with industrial applications. So there was a new need for AI-based robots, you know, discovery of assets or going into mines and finding out what minerals are available where, automating that work. I know of companies that have started doing that in the construction space. So AI for discovery of automation of that. Then you have the supply chain side, tracking your assets, even delivery of products. Truckers have a hard time getting paid, you know, when they get to do the delivery because there's so much paperwork required. It's okay if you're a trucker at FedEx or Amazon, but if you're an independent trucker driving a 16-wheeler, you know, you have to be paid. And the amount of paperwork they have to do is incredible. So, because I've seen somebody do that, and tell me that there's money to be made in solving that problem, and they've gone on ahead and solved it. Supply chain, all these issues, as I mentioned earlier. But I think that construction, in fact, you could say it's a lagging industry, so it's all the more applicable to use AI, although there may be resistance on part of the, construction can be very big companies and small operators. So that's one thing. Then I came across a company the other day that is uh, purely built around security of the construction sites, because construction sites move from site to site. So there are assets lying there all night that can be stolen. And so building security platforms for them, which means you move the camera station, not one camera, but a station from one place to the other, but it is highly secure, it is automated, and it is monitoring 24/7, and it is actually voice activated to say, even if somebody tries to break into the fence, it can say, hold on, we open at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, please come later. You know, I think things like that. And there's a lot of AI in there because there's a lot of uh, image recognition. So it's not just having a human sentry running around, but so, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I,
yeah,
I, I think it's
security.
very exciting. Yeah. If there was an entrepreneur who knew that industry well, in fact, I'm talking to one like that. He is a supplier of HVAC equipment. Yeah. 50 to $75 million business. There's opportunity there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah,
definitely.
keep that message out to people in your focus area of construction, and industrial applications. Yeah.
You're working with small businesses and entrepreneurs who need validation before building and also support them in the building process. What are your biggest frustrations about finding the right clients?
First of all, to your earlier point, yes, I have built myself as a company for that purpose of addressing entrepreneurs and small business owners. Actually, I should just say exactly this point, which is that it's not just entrepreneurs, it is small businesses that need AI implementation and they have a problem and an idea. So that idea can be validated and whether they should build it and how they should build it and who should build it for them. So I'm not going to say that it's just pure entrepreneurs only. There are real problems out there, but there are entrepreneurs who are solving the problems and there are owners who have problems and they're entrepreneurial themselves. So that's one thing. By nature, I am obviously targeting smaller size companies because I don't have the bandwidth or the cachet or the effort to go after large companies, or I cannot compete with the large consulting houses. So I do have problems and challenges in securing customers. That's why I'm having this podcast with you and others. But I am also not afraid to, and I won't say afraid, I have a methodology that is going on to generate leads, talk to people, people that I don't know and people that I know. And I have some brand value that I get conversations started earlier. And also, I'm not looking for a high volume. 3 clients a month is sufficient for me because remember, if I have 3 1-hour meetings, I've spent 30 hours, 10 hours on each meeting. So I don't have the bandwidth. I have 2 more colleagues, but we each take on our own projects. So as long as I can fill 3 slots a month, I'm very happy.
We're slowly coming to the end of the conversation. And my last question is, if someone listening right now has an AI product idea and 30,000 to spend, what's the first thing they need to do?
I think you should validate uh, and not spend the $30,000 in development right away. So I would say spend $5,000 in validation. I would say spend 10,000, but 5,000. Give me a call. I can price it for that purpose and give you some validation. Good news is you have the money to invest in development. Bad news is you have the money. So 30 will go so far, but then 30 will require another 30, right? So spend a few critical hours or days a month is not that much. I'll help you. Honestly, I will help you. And give me a call, set up a meeting. On my LinkedIn, you can set up a call. That's I'm putting a plug for myself. But I would say I'm true to my thought, which is, have you done the validation and you're ready to start development? Then give us a call. We can help you with development. I have resources for that, uh, cost-effective resources. If you haven't done validation, but I will tell you that if you come to me for development, I will still question what we are building for you because I told you earlier that I don't want you to fail. We can fail for many different reasons, but not for lack of understanding of the market. So that's what I would say is still validate and if you have 30, that's good, but be prepared that in this day and age, marketing dollars have to be factored in. The go-to-market money is very important, which can be just as much, which is how are you going to get the word out? How are you going to secure customers after you have a product or during the time you're developing a product? So you need to be uh, balance out your budget. If you have 30, I'd say you have 15 for engineering and 15 for marketing. May not be enough. Yeah.
Prem, thank you so much for this conversation and for your time. Your insights about product validation and developing startup ideas were very helpful for the audience. Thank you very much for your time.
Elena, you're wonderful. I think I'm delighted to have this opportunity. And all I can say is that I'm just a facilitator. The hard work is being done by the entrepreneurs and the business owners. But if I have helped somebody to look back and say, yeah, what Prem did was helpful, I'll have achieved my mission.